Welcome to Sparks of History, where world history and Jewish history meet. We are extremely pleased to have with us today renowned attorney, writer, and legal advocate, Anthony Julius. Mr. Julius is partner and deputy chairman at the law firm of Mishcon Reya. Additionally, he holds the chair in law and arts at the Faculty of Laws at the University College in London. Previously, Mr. Julius was a visiting professor at Birkbeck, University of London, and Department of English and the Humanities. Mr. Julius has been involved in high-profile legal cases, including representing Diana, Princess of Wales, as well as historian Ambassador Deborah Lipstadt with the successful defense in the David Irving Holocaust denial case. Mr. Julius has also written a number of books, including a study of T.S. Eliot's Anti-Semitism. And today, we will be discussing Mr. Julius's groundbreaking work, Trials of the Diaspora, History of Anti-Semitism in England. As you can see, it is not a thin book, it is a thick book, but as I mentioned, it is groundbreaking and really covers the full gamut of English history anti-Semitism. Again, thank you very much for joining us today. Appreciate it very much.
It's a great pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Just going back in time at the beginning, at least in England, what are the key characteristics of medieval English anti-Semitism?
Well, can I take a step back from that?
Absolutely.
Question.
That's what history is all about.
Yes, exactly. Because I have a kind of a schema in my analysis of anti-Semitism, and what I say about medieval anti-Semitism, I think will have greater meaning if I put it in the context of the schema. So, if that's okay. So it's very difficult writing history for very many distinct reasons. One relevant reason is making sense of an intense and deep continuum of individual events. What's salient, what's not? What's mere repetition? What's new? What are the patterns? What are the themes? In what direction is history moving? It's not enough to write what's called a chronicle, one thing after another, because although chronicles have their value, they don't really explain the past. They just render it in some way analogous to a wide-angle lens photograph that takes in everything, but in an undifferentiated way. So contemplating pretty much 1,000 years of history, that was my first challenge, how to organize my subject so that it wasn't just one awful thing after another. And insofar as there were latent patterns, to draw them out. And the conclusion I came to in the kind of backward and forward of engaging with the material and formulating hypotheses, always provisional, always tested then against the material, revised and so on. What I was able to identify was a small number of distinct anti-Semitisms. That were partly to be defined by reference to period and partly by reference to content. So the four were as follows. First of all, medieval anti-Semitism. Secondly, literary anti-Semitism, the anti-Semitism that lives in, drives, deforms works of literature. Then a modern anti-Semitism, which was in the case of England, an anti-Semitism that was inaugurated in the 17th century, and essentially is already now played out, but certainly was alive until the 1960s, and then a contemporary anti-Semitism, which essentially engages with Israel and the Zionist undertaking. So I've identified these in terms of periods, but English literary anti-Semitism essentially runs from the anonymous ballad literature of the Middle Ages and Chaucer through to present times. So it has a kind of run which is greater than any of the others, and which indeed has a future as well. So that's my schema.